Which is your favourite? Hello everybody, and welcome to the Bowels of Retribution, and welcome to a video that I'm hoping is going to be the first of many parts, really, where I talk about one band and two of their albums. In this case, we are talking about California's Autopsy, and these two albums in particular: Severed Survival, their debut from '89, and Mental Funeral, their second release from 1991, both put out on Peaceful Records. I have often spoken about this album being one of, if not my favourite death metal album of all time. But I was recently listening to this album and I just realised how good this was as well. So I thought, which really is my favourite? Which one's your favourite? Let's talk about it. Hopefully you guys can get involved in the comments section of this video and let me know your opinions on these albums. So I thought I'd make a little video where I'm talking a little bit about each of these albums, and let's see the pros and cons, I suppose, of each of these albums. The pros of this album is it's got two superb covers. This original cover was banned back in the day, which is hard to imagine in this day and age, isn't it now? But it was originally banned, so it got given the second cover, which was the Zombie Surgeons cover, which, as we well know, is an absolute classic as well. So it's actually got two covers, which that's a bonus in itself. But this album, look at the cover of that. How good is that? That's tattoo material, that, isn't it? Absolutely love that. But like I say, let's start off with this one. So out of the two albums, for me, you know, production wise, I do think this one sits a little higher. I think this one's got more of a raw sound, more of, I think they realised when they made this album the sound that they were creating, and it's a slightly thicker sound to the one on this. So I suppose they were taking it down that route of we know what we're about, and we're gonna harness that and embrace it, and it works absolutely brilliant on this album. But the production on this, for me, probably ekes it a little bit. I was looking on Metal Archives, I suppose just doing my homework for this video really, and this album has got 20 reviews. This album has got 22 reviews. This album stands at 91% and this at 92%. So it's going to be hard to choose between these two, isn't it? But yeah, the overall sound, the guitars were a little bit thicker. This features Steve DiGiorgio as a session bass player as well. And he just sounds so good on this. I mean, Eric Cutler sounds amazing on this one, and he carries on that style of sort of two-string strummed bass in parts, and he carries it on really well. But I always felt like Steve DiGiorgio's got rein to do what he wants on this, because these guys knew how good a musician he was. So do your thing, Steve. That would have been the advice I would have thought. Listening to this album compared to this album as well, I almost find that this album is over before I want it to be over. It tends to, I just feel like I'm really getting into it and then it's over. This album, I'm getting into it, and it whether it's got a more natural sort of ending to this than Severed Survival, I don't know if that's the reason, but this feels like it when it runs to the end. You know, the amount of times I've run it to the end and started it again and played, but feels like it runs well, it runs nicely. When it comes to riffs, this album, I mean, you know, Charred Remains, Service for a Vacant Coffin, Pagan Saviour, Critical Madness. There's riffs all over this, isn't there? But for me, this album has the more memorable riffs. You know, Twisted Massive Burnt Decay, In the Grip of Winter, Flesh Crawl. Those three songs just flow so nicely together, all three of them. So riff-wise, I think this steals it because there's more memorable riffs. When you hear someone or a riff played somewhere, or you know straight away. You know, sometimes you hear if you who's that. Straight away, you know with these who that is exactly. Vocally, Chris Reifert, his growls are so vomiting on this. He carries it on this. The same really. You know, I don't know if there's a big difference between, in my ears anyway, I don't know if there's a big difference between the styles. I don't know if maybe I lean a little bit towards Severed Survival for his vocal style. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was, you know, Autopsy and their style of music and their transitions from blazing riffs, fast, aggressive drumming, down to those really dark and evil, doomy sort of sounding passages. They do it well on both albums, but for me, the transitions on this are better than Severed Survival. I don't know if that's because maybe this album has got more riffs and more of a diverse set of riffs in the music, but the transitions on this are just superb. You know, we talk about Chris Reifert and his drumming and how sort of loose it is and that style he has. And it is, you know, I think maybe the way the production is, but his playing is just superb. On both of these, on all of the albums by Autopsy, it's just superb. It's on a dime, he knows exactly what he's doing. Both the guitarists, Danny and, is it Chris, was the other guitarist? Eric. Yeah, Chris Reifert's a drummer, of course. Both great guitars, great guitarists. I find that the lead guitar side of things, Mental Funeral probably steals it for me. There's a few more sort of dive bombs. They feel like they're placed a little better. You know, I'm not gonna dissect these albums ridiculously. I want this video to be a nice short video, and for us to just talk about, you know, our favourite really, which is our favourite. They're both fantastic. They're both right up there, probably in my top 20 death metal albums of all time. So, with all that said, cover art, production wise, riffs, the flow of the albums, the transitions, everything about them, which is my favourite. And I think I'm gonna have to stick, without dropping it, I'm gonna have to stick with Mental Funeral. I just think it's got the edge. It's lacking in some things compared to Severed Survival, but when it comes down to just the flow, the riffs, everything about it feels like it's the right length. It just feels like it starts and it ends just how you want it to. So I'm going to go and stick with Mental Funeral, Autopsy's second release from 1991. Please let me know what your thoughts are. Like I've said, I won't go on about it anymore, but let me know what your thoughts are. And also, you know, if there's any other bands and albums, I'm going to start going through a few of my favourite albums by my favourite bands in my collection, and maybe, like I say, hopefully we can do this again and talk about these albums and compare them. But please do get involved in the comments section. It's really important to me. That's what I do this for, is to hear off you guys and to have these conversations backwards and forwards. But yeah, let me know, which is your favourite? Severed Survival from '89 or Mental Funeral from 1991? Thank you, as always. I keep nearly dropping those. I don't know why. I'm not doing a good job, and I don't want to be doing that, do I? Cheers, everybody. Please let me know your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for your time. Before we go, in the background, of course, we're listening to Autopsy. Their most recent release, 10th album, I think it is, isn't it? Ashes, Organs, Blood and Crypts. This band never let you down, do they? Great, great album. On Peaceful as well. I think they've always been on Peaceful, haven't they? So yeah, as always, take care. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch. Always appreciated. I'll be back again soon with another video, and hopefully another one in this style. Let me know what you think anyway, guys. Take care. Bye for now.